All right, it's going to be about 1 minute.
I was definitely starting to gear up, and I could feel that I was about to do something a little more intense than what I normally do.
We got to the exit point a lot quicker than we normally did. We were geared up a lot faster than normal.
He was more agitated than normal. It was something different. Something was building up inside of him. I could tell he was just gonna do something crazy, honestly.
Jeb told me right when he got to the exit point that, by the way, I asked Moose, our good friend and our cameraman, to tie some balloons on little rocks so he could fly over them. And that was a complete surprise, like he hadn't mentioned that before and no one else knew about it.
The night before, Jeb asked me to set up some balloons on the ledge. It was a little bit windy, so I radioed to Jeb and I said, I'm a bit concerned, these balloons are moving around. And he said, no, don't worry, if they're moving around too much, he'll just go over them.
That moment, that's when I found out, okay, this is actually even more intense than what we were doing the day before.
There was a lot of things that were building up, and it already gave me this kind of a weird sensation.
Okay, you're looking at a 1 minute call. 1 minute.
Okay, I'll be ready. Good luck.
Okay, this is going to be the last time you hear me on the walk. Rock on, bro.
Don't, dude.
Enjoy yourself.
All the elements were in place. It was Joby who jumped the first time.
Joby jumps, and then I have to wait for him to open and land.
Where are you gonna jump, baby? Go.
When Joby flew over the balloons, the turbulence moved those helium balloons a little bit further down.
Had a really nice flight, actually, and I knew Jeb was coming down pretty soon after that, though. So as I kind of just stood there, I remember it was just so hot. I remember hoping to hurry up and jump.
Then it was Jeb's turn to jump. He was at the exit point with Jeff, who was going to film him, and then I was a little bit behind them, just taking some still pictures.
All right, let's do this. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. Okay. 3, 2, 1, zip.
When I heard the bang and I couldn't see Jeb, I knew I had just lost my best friend.
The sound was like a high-powered rifle going off. Fuck. And I know a lot of that is because I'm down here a mile away and the amphitheater of Table Mountain is there and it's echoing off of that. But it was just so loud. It was like nothing I'd ever heard. I've never heard a human being hit something going that fast, that hard like that.
He was swooping into the cliff, and then all of a sudden he was flipping through the air. As I was perceiving what was happening, I saw his shadow creeping up on him as he was flying down the hill. His suit was actually damaged, so he wasn't getting the same glide path as normal, and he was actually going toward the ground very fast. And in the air, I was yelling, "Pull, pull."
Like, wow, I can't believe I just watched my buddy die.
was my next thing was fly down to the road as fast as I can so I could run up to the mountain to him and see if he needed help.
Luckily, Moose, who had set the helium balloons and who was doing the camera at the ledge, he's one of those rescue guys who goes on the Table Mountain and saves families and people who have fallen down to the crevasses. And so I knew he had a number for the rescue service.
Where's he landed?
Below the ledge, yeah.
The first thing I did before I ran down was phone my friends in the rescue service for a helicopter.
I'll phone someone right away.
I was hoping that if for some reason, somehow, some way he had survived it, he probably wouldn't survive for very long. And I was just really hoping to get up there and you know, hold his hand for a second and say I love you or something. I don't know what I thought. Like just the whole heavy scene was bearing down on me, and I thought, man, you know, what a shitty day.
My concept of time is totally distorted. I don't even know how long I was there, but I felt like I was there for quite some time.
Oh my God.
And I just remember it was so painful. It was so painful. Like the pain was just, it was a hurricane inside my mind.
I remember first when I came on the level and I could see Jeb's canopy, I could see a few other people have already reaching before me, and I could actually see that they were moving around and they were kind of being active. So I was like, oh my God, he's not dead. I run to him and I tell him like, Jeb, all is good. Like, no, never mind. Like, I mean, the chopper is coming. You'll be home. You'll be safe. You're gonna get rescued.
Talk to me, buddy. Say something. Jeb.
Jeb, man.
Jeb. Jeb, 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 Jeb.
Then he started fading in and out of consciousness, and that's when I started to cut his suit off, and that's when I realized the injuries that he had, the extent of the injuries were a bit more serious than what we had perceived.
Here's a funny thing you don't know about Jeb. Jeb doesn't drink, Jeb doesn't do drugs, Jeb doesn't do painkillers. I mean, he's been very strict with that for all of his life, and you have to kind of respect the craziness even in that situation, that he refused the painkillers or the morphine at the rescue.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you something to relax you, okay?
So first they said like, oh, we're gonna give something for your pain. And then Jeb came in the conscience like, no. He was like the kid from The Exorcist, and no, I don't want any painkillers. And I was like, whoa, like you committed, dude. And then we tried to lift him off, but the moment we touched him, he was like, oh my God, it hurts.
That really hurts bad.
So it's a little bit like catch-22. Like if we can't give you painkillers and we can't really touch you, like you're not gonna get rescued off the mountain anytime soon.
So now the medic has no idea what to do. So we're trying to hit him and tell him, say, no, don't say drugs, don't say drugs. And he
kind of pulled the guy aside and said, like, listen, like just say it's like for dehydration. And that allowed Jeb to put his arm out and get the vein out and the morphine in him, and then it was easier to actually rescue him. There's not too many guys in the world that you actually have to try to convince in that situation to try to relieve the pain, but that's just the type of person he is.
1, 2, 3.
According to GPS, I was doing 122 miles an hour. Like as I hit, it was such a severe blow. My mind knew exactly what had happened instantly. Like I knew I had impacted. I knew that it was bad, and I knew that I was going to die. My brain just broke into two different parts, and one part was just a very mathematical kind of, it was just a survival thing. It's like, okay, you've impacted, you're tumbling, regain control. Okay, you've got control. The wingsuit's trying to pull you back in the mountain, fly away from the mountain. This giving me information of like what I needed to do to survive. Whereas another part of my brain became very philosophical. And it started having this conversation, and I really was genuinely having a conversation with myself about, should I pull? Like, what would be the point in pulling? Your legs are destroyed, you are crushed, you have impacted at terminal velocity, so you will die. The choice that I was facing is, did I want a slow, agonizing, horrifying, like painful death, or a relatively quick, I wouldn't call it painless, but quick death. And it was a difficult decision. It just said, pull now or you die. So I pulled. And when I pulled, my parachute opened with line twists. I was under canopy for 1.5 seconds. And then I impacted again. I could feel like my body kind of shutting down. I could feel things like starting to kind of close off. And I could feel like that point where, you know, you're getting lightheaded and all of a sudden you become very euphoric and you get to that place where you feel like you're dying, basically. Yeah, it was a weird feeling to hear them say, you know what, you're gonna have recovery. Although it's gonna take some time. It's gonna be 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, but you will have a recovery.
It's an incredible miracle that he, first off, survived it, and secondly, retained his legs. That's just an amazing thing. It's very hard to even comprehend that until you see the photographs or you see the films, and then you realize how close he came to not being with us.
I made the worst mistake a human being could ever make in their entire life, and I got a second chance.
They had to do a skin graft. They had to take a piece of skin from his leg and move it over the wounded area and hope it takes off. But the patch got infected.
The infection was actually a really, really dangerous bacterial infection that's antibiotic resistant. When the doctors saw it, they were so concerned that they basically said, Jeb, you know, your leg is in jeopardy now. We may have to amputate your leg. That's how big a deal this is. You need to take this very, very seriously. And I had to go in for IV antibiotics for almost 4 months, 7 days a week, 1 to 2 hours a day.
All of that was very tiring to him. It caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of physically being sick. And so it made him stop. It made him register what his life was worth.
Talk about slowing you down, and I wasn't allowed to do any cardio, so it's like 4 months of like, you know, when you need to do your rehab and you can't. It was very frustrating. It was the first time in the entire situation, like from the accident to all the hospital time to everything, it was the first time that I wish I had died. Because it was so brutal and so horrible that I'm like, you know, it's not worth it. That was the first time where I broke down, and I was just like, you know, I don't think I can do this.
You saw him turn inside of himself and not, you know, have nothing left for anything on the outside.
It took me 6 months of rehab and serious recovery to even get to the point where I could walk semi-normal. You know, I was still limping and super crippled, and I couldn't even be on airplanes. Like just flying on an airplane, my legs would swell up like 3 times their normal size, and I was in pain, like super bad pain all the time. And you know, I had an ACL blown out in my left knee. Without that ACL, I wasn't really able to do what I was used to doing. And I was debating if I was gonna get the surgery to get my ACL reconstructed. And it became not a debate anymore. It became, if I don't get the ACL reconstructed, I'm gonna be crippled for life. I'm not gonna be able to be an athlete anymore. I won't be able to do the sport anymore.
It's gonna take a long time. And it's gonna take him out of like a year of doing what he does.
I had a choice. I'm like, should I do the ACL reconstruction right now and just blow my whole summer and then go back into winter again and lose like a year and a half of work? Or just put on a knee brace, do my work over the summer, and then when winter hits, then do the ACL reconstruction. So I really don't miss much. And I had to make a choice, and I made the wrong choice. I should have just gone in and done my surgery right then.
Chorus number 13. Okay, copy. Timeline is ready.
Yep.
Turn marker ready. Green light.
When Jeb came to China, I could see that he was not on his top shape. He had got a little heavy, and because obviously he couldn't work out, and then he didn't have an ACL, and that affected the flight. He jumped as anyone else, but he was 8 seconds behind the fastest guys. He was flying effectively, but he just could not max it because of his injuries.
I do a couple jumps and I realized really quick that I just can't do this. I mean, every time I jump was a virtual destruction. Every time I hit the ground, I'd fall down, and every time I jump, I almost got hurt.
God damn it.
He stuck it out and made it happen. And despite the fact that he knew he was not going to get first place, Jeb has integrity. He does what he says he's going to do.
And you know, after you go through like a year and a half of being crippled, you kind of just start thinking of yourself that way. You know, I just can't run, I just can't walk very far, I'm unstable. You know, when I land, I have to fall down. Like, that's just how it is now. You know, I'm older and I'm hurt.
He had to physically fix his body, and he had to do it over and over and over again. And once it was like a little bit well, then he had to go back for an operation. And then that all had to be recovery time. So over and over and over again, he was pulled back and sat down to think.
I think like through the pain, suffering and antibiotics and constant visits to the hospital, it just continued to wear him out and wore him out. It started to really take a mental toll.
I thought maybe this would change him. It would change him for sure somehow, some way, but to the extent that it changed him, I'm still surprised.
He now seems a little bit more conservative. It seems like he really thinks things through a bit more. He is more meticulous, and he kind of sees the risk versus reward a little bit more clearly.
Jeb has said to me, you know, the person who was standing on the mountain is an entirely different person than the person who crashed. And before and after, the person before no longer exists.
Whenever you start out in any dangerous activity, you start with 2 jars. You have an experience jar, which is obviously empty, and then you have a luck jar, which has an unknown amount inside. You have no idea how much luck you've got, right? And every time you do something really dangerous, you take a little piece out of your luck jar and you drop it into your experience jar. Eventually, you're going to run out of luck, okay? Eventually that jar that has luck in it will be empty, and all you'll have is your experience to keep you alive. You know, and that's a very profound concept and a very true one. You know, we don't know how much luck we've got. And then to rely on luck is not very smart, because eventually you're going to run out of luck. But that experience, if you've, you know, taken your lessons and you've learned, and then you can use the experience to keep you going. You know, and that's hopefully what I can do now. You know, I think I've emptied my luck jar, and now I just have experience to keep me going.
I think in some ways Jeb was drifting a little bit because the future was unclear. The sport of wingsuit flying had progressed really, really fast. He had been out, he hadn't been able to train at all, and there had been a new generation of jumpers who had done crazy, crazy things. At the time when Jeb flew through the Heaven's Gate, it was something very unique, but ever since after that, there was a whole new generation of guys who were flying between buildings or holes that were only like, you know, 1/10 of the size that Jeb had flown through.
I think Jeb was determined to go back to what he does best, which is put the camera on me, turn it on, and watch this. And that's a heavy crown to wear, and it's hard to do that kind of heavy lifting, but he rises to the occasion every time and is able to do it. And I think that he thrives on that challenge.
I got a call from Eero, and basically he's like, you know, hey, there was this place in China, I just want you to come check out for a potential stunt. And he's like, yeah, it's a crack. And I'm like, okay, I'll come take a look, but it's probably not gonna be something I can fly.
Langshan mountain has this very unique feature. It looks like a giant dagger would have fell off the ground, split the mountain in half, and with a tiny, tiny little crack in between.
When I saw that thing, I was like, okay, this is something special. This is a very unique place.
It was truly an insane project. The crack was 300 meters long, and from the top it was 20 meters wide, and at the bottom between 5 and 6 meters.
It was a geological anomaly unlike anything I've ever seen in my life.
And what made that jump extra challenging was the fact that the 300 meters in altitude had to be enough for Jeb to fly through the crack, open his parachute, turn around his canopy, and make a landing into a small, tiny landing area that was about 1 meter wide.
I remember Jeb showing me a picture of it on his computer, and I was like, oh. So I was just kind of, okay, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to say?
When he showed me that picture and told me that, it actually made the hair on the back of my neck stand, because I knew that was a real one.
After I hit Table Mountain, the response to that should have been, stop. But I won't stop.
After months of physiotherapy, Jeb had finally recovered, and his training for China began in Switzerland. But we were a little bit worried because we had to find a balance from him practicing and then not get injured while practicing. And that forced us to be creative. And I was contacted by this company, Airclass, from Hungary. And they had been creating this augmented reality technology. So he was basically able to see all the surroundings normally, but if he looked through this viewfinder, we were able to create the exact mountain in front of him when he skydived. He was able to see his approach for the mountain, fly through it, and then the whole thing reset, and he was able to do the same flight again. So throughout one skydive, he was actually able to do 3 approaches and fly-throughs of the mountain we had for the Flying Dagger.
The first one I was going at, and then all of a sudden I was off the map, and I totally went in. I hit the mountain and died horrible death.
I thought that it was a very unique way to train, and I think that it's going to be the future of how we train for this kind of stuff.
I mean, it was literally like I was really flying terrain.
It's really hard to describe it if you don't experience it, but once you experience what it really looks like and you see how it feels, it's mind-boggling. I think it's the future.
It's really narrow. There's no question that it's about the same narrow as the flight we're going to do.
I basically started getting to the point where I was actually getting stronger and started feeling like I was before the accident. I did all my rehab, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling this sensation of like, wow, I'm getting back to what I was before.
I think in him getting hurt and coming back from being hurt to jumping and flying again, he just willed it to happen. He just said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be stronger and better than I was before.
Sure enough, I was like, wow, I'm back.
Very excited to be going to this region. I'm very excited to be doing this stunt. It's going to be, I think, one of the best I've ever done.
After he flew through Heaven's Gate, he had a pretty good name. People actually started to stop him on the street and ask for autographs and pose for pictures.
I did notice that in China, all of a sudden, I've become much more recognizable. My sport's very small, and it's always been kind of a dark, kind of hidden sport where even when you're as loud as I am, people still usually don't see you, you know? So I never expected to be seen so much and to have people recognize it and to have people be so friendly. It was scary coming into the Flying Dagger after seeing what it really means to get hurt. You know, what it means to go from being an active athlete to being able to do whatever you want with your body and your body just does what you want it to do, to being crippled. And it was interesting getting to the place where, you know, now all of a sudden you're better and you're going into a stunt that very likely could put you right back to where you were, you know, 6 months ago. Even though it doesn't have a ceiling on it, once you drop into it, you can't get out of it. And the more you're in it, the deeper you get. And the deeper it gets, the narrower it gets. It's a very tight, very committing, very long, straight flight.
I'm going to want him to fly from that direction
straight towards the mountain, straight down that line.
You can look at it on Google Earth or other places and analyze it all you want, but until you actually get there and see it, you really don't know what you're dealing with.
Let's walk in and take a look at the landing area so we can mark it out and make sure that everything's smooth. The problem is that when I come out, my landing area is right at the bottom. So I don't get any more altitude. This will be my primary, this is where I want to get to. If I'm too low, I can't land in my landing area and I'm landing in trees.
He has to have a nice, symmetrical, clean open, and then he has to turn back around and fly back and land on a very, very tiny little landing area.
It can't be up here, it has to be smooth the whole way down.
And if he missed that, he would basically slide down the face of a cliff and possibly to his death.
That's a scary place to land. Probably two of the most important people in the project were Eero and Frank. Without them, these projects just could not happen in China.
So when Jeb gets in the helicopter,
Eero, because he's just an incredible producer and he's able to just draw everyone together, and he has the real passion for, you know, these kinds of projects. Frank is just a virtual god. He's magic. He's literally magic. I've never seen anything quite like him. And, you know, and without him, this project couldn't have happened.
There are 1,200 security forces, 90 medical workers, thousands of people just helping to make these events happen.
Then there was Barry, and he trains all the Navy SEALs in US, and he's one of those solid guys, don't make a big sound of himself, but if you need him, he'll be there.
I have to come in.
And then there was Jeff, and our story with Jeff continued because he was also there in the Table Mountain accident.
What we can do is we have to get a
For the preparation of this stunt, we built an entire landing strip. Like there was maybe size of a football field with 2 cement landing areas for the chopper. So it's an incredible amount of preparation we had to do.
They're perfect for what we need. It's gonna be good. I'm actually really excited. Yes, I'm totally prepared, and tomorrow's gonna be more preparation, more training, and tomorrow's...
When we showed up to the location, we were confident, we were kind of giving high fives, like luckily we're now more professionals than we were at the Heaven's Gate. We leave us more of a cushion, like no worries, it's gonna happen. And then a typhoon hits China. And it hits the southern part of China, but it sends a huge ripple effect of bad weather towards us. And then from ideal conditions into nothing, no jumpable conditions, that happened in a few hours. The mountain is fully clouded in, so we can't even see to the top. And there's quite a bit of turbulence at the bottom. So it's just one of those waiting games when so many things need to align to make these successful events, and it's always the thing that stresses me most is the weather.
And the weather report wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking good at all. The winds right now are dangerous because they are creating turbulence. So as they come through here, they're hitting the mountain at such an angle that it's creating these vertices that come off that are invisible to the pilot. So those are the two things we need. We need the clouds to go away, and we need the winds to die down.
The goal was to have at least 2 jumps yesterday, 4 today, 4 tomorrow, and when we haven't got one, and it's really starting to worry about. So it's almost, producing these type of live events is like a roller coaster, and it's almost like this invisible enemy.
Before we came, he was so confident that this would be a good jump. He was very confident that he was capable of doing it.
When I went there and looked at the Flying Dagger location, originally like scouting it, the day we saw it was on a day when there was no wind. And I went away thinking, yeah, that should be a pretty easy stunt to do. I can get plenty of altitude and I'll open and I can make it to that landing area, it'll be easy. But then when I got there and the stunt became what the stunt was really gonna be, which I wasn't being realistic mentally about what that actually was, and I started really realizing what I was really gonna do and what it really meant.
We faced this last time I was here, we faced it the time before I was here, I faced it with every stunt I've ever done in my life, you know, so we're getting kind of used to the stress levels.
He was just so interested in getting back to doing, and then he had to pay attention to all of the factors that were going to take for him to fly through that. The precision, the calculations, all of it suddenly hit home.
And then I started thinking about, okay, if I mess up here, I get hurt. And it's not a little hurt, I get hurt. This is like a real hurt. So I'm like, how do I feel about getting hurt again? You know, the feeling wasn't good.
Yeah, I do not think I'll land up here at all. Okay, thank you very much, that's good information.
I was really a bit concerned. With the time passing by, it seems like the time for his practice jump becomes shorter and shorter.
Oh, it's so disturbing. Eero to Jeb and Frank, this is a wind report from the top. The conditions are ideal right now. They haven't changed anything since Jeb got here, and we also copy for the protocol. So if anything changes, we'll let you guys know. But right now the conditions are ideal, and it's definitely a go-ahead from the landing area.
Landing area A, the winds were good this morning, so I really wanted to land up there at least one time to see what I was facing, you know? Plus, if I landed up there, it gave me the ability to, like, you know, kind of really get closer to the actual place.
Still fine for him to land, but it is just a slight wind.
It was an impact that was so brutal and so hard that Eero was sure I was injured. Everyone who saw that landing thought I was totally broken. Luckily, I wasn't. But the exit was really nice. Communication with the pilot was perfect. The wind is perfect. Everything's good. It was my first jump, so I wanted to fly over it really high, so I did. And basically, it was like to get to see it from there was good. It's just going to take me a couple practice jumps to work my way into it. Very interesting, the landing, because it's a very small, tight spot, and with no wind, the landings are kind of hard, but at least I can hit what I want to hit. It's exciting. It's time to go do more practice jumps. We went to do a second jump. This time I decided, okay, this time I want to skirt part of the crack. Like I want to get out and I want to fly through the end of it, just to like get a little bit inside, just to see what it felt like. So I get out of the helicopter again, a little bit too close, and then I'm like trying to lose altitude, and then I basically start diving at it, and I start generating all this speed, and as I come through it, I hit exactly where I wanted to hit, but then I came out and then just had so much speed that I couldn't open my parachute right away, so I go to like slow down, and it gets a little squirrely, and then I pitch, and by the time I open, I look back, and it's just like, there's just no way I can get to the A landing area. So I look over, and I see like the road, and I'm like kind of looking at the angle, I'm like, I think I can make my road. I have never been part of anything more complex, more difficult, more challenging.
Each time that he did the practice, he became more wary and he became more concerned.
I was paused for a while thinking, wow, can I do it with such a little practice jump? We all got up pretty early. We went to the site hoping that weather would be favorable. And unfortunately, when we went to the mountain, and it's very misty, it's very cloudy, the visibility is very bad.
We looked up and we saw the clouds were literally right on top of the mountain, so we couldn't even get in a helicopter to jump anyway. So it was like literally, well, the weather is just unjumpable. And as the day progressed, it just got worse and worse.
We show up and it feels like going to the rock festival. I didn't even understand why so many people are walking the same direction where we are going. And then there was a little blink light, bingo, they're coming for us.
It does surprise me when I see so many people, farmers, the village people nearby, they all came here. I said, wow.
My fear was extreme. And what was interesting is it wasn't a fear of getting hurt. It wasn't a fear of dying. It was a fear of, will the weather actually make this impossible? Will we not be able to do the stunt simply because it's just too windy? It's a totally different type of fear. You know, it's the fear of letting people down and the fear of like, you know, setting all this up and the fear of all these people like relying on you to do something and then you can't. Like, and it's something that's completely out of your control. You have there's literally nothing you can do. And even though everyone, you know, the safety is number one, you know, we don't want you to get hurt, blah, 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 it still puts pressure on you.
Of course, there's the pressure because we're not just doing a simple stunt because lots of TV networks are going to do the live, and plus there are around 50,000 spectators just on site to watch the stunt. And just thinking of the weather condition, wow, of course, the pressure's there.
Hundreds of millions of people watching on live TV and waiting for something to happen. There we stand in the rain, the mountain is covered with clouds, and I remember I walked around smiling and shaking hands, and I went to the tent and I nearly had a cry. It was horrible. There was so much pressure, so much expectations, and it was mainly coming from the fact that everyone believed in us. Everyone really wanted to make this happen, but we just didn't want to let them down.
Who knows, maybe we'll clear up. We got 3 hours, so.
Still just out of an acceptable level.
Okay.
Okay, to view the briefing, the update, the satellite they had Hunan TV, they shut down already. They need to redo it, but it takes time.
Frank was super smart and basically shut everything down and tried to postpone so that we could get more of the day. But the end was going to be 4:30. At 4:30, choppers were going to be grounded, and that was the end of it.
You have the flying schedule, and each day before 5 o'clock, the chopper has to be grounded. So basically, the last takeoff has to be done before 4:30.
But the gusts are maxing at 8.
Right now, yeah. Let me give it a few minutes and see if they increase to higher.
Okay, cool. I'll just go ahead and get my gear ready, just in case.
It became a little nerve-wracking, though, as of the time that led up to the event, because there was a lot of get your gear on, get ready, no, canceled, take your gear off, sit back down. So we went through the motions many times to only be told to sit back down. We got in the helicopter, flew all the way to our jump run, and were called back down to land with the chopper.
The winds just increased. They were nice and calm, and probably from the 5 minutes before the chopper took off to 2 minutes after the chopper took off, the wind really steadily increased. So what I'm worried about is Jeb gets up to altitude and they keep increasing. So I called the jump off to see what this wind's gonna do.
It's like nightmarish. I swear to God, it's driving me nuts.
It looked like it was going to be the first stunt that we set out to do where it just wasn't going to happen, that it was going to fail. And then Barry calls in and says, hey guys, you know, I don't want to get you too excited, but the winds have calmed down.
But it has been improving.
So I'll keep watching them. He's all, but I think you could land right now.
Let's go.
I tell Frank, hey Frank, I want to go up and let's just take a look.
It's very, very difficult because Jeb needs 4,000 feet to jump out of the chopper. However, because of the low clouds, the height could be only 2,500 feet.
It was already like 3:30. We only had an hour till everything was going to get shut down. I'm like, we might as well just get in the helicopter and go take a look. If we can't get enough altitude, we can't get enough altitude. That's, you know, but at least we need to try.
When I heard the sound of the chopper taking off, I was really praying that they could have a little bit of luck. I look at the watch at that time. It's already 4:05. Time is really, really running out, and the people are preparing to leave the site.
Sure enough, we couldn't get anywhere near the altitude we needed. You could just see the top, and then we're in clouds. Barry calls up from the landing area and says, yeah, stop, it's too windy anyway. So even if the clouds were high enough, you couldn't jump. The winds came back up and were too strong.
And really at that point, I mean, I shouldn't have been jumping anyways. I didn't get the proper training, you know? So I'm just like, okay, well, this is just kind of a sign just telling me, you know, dude, just let it go, you know? The weather just hasn't cooperated with us, and we can't do it.
Okay, copy that. We'll turn around and come back down.
On an event like this, it's important to keep a clear head. What's important? There is a pressure, knowing that maybe this opportunity will never repeat itself, and walk away than going for it and trying to do and then risking everything. Sometimes it takes more courage to walk away than it takes to do something.
I felt relieved, and I was happy that he wasn't going to do it.
At least I didn't break my legs. I mean, it could be worse. You know, I could be in the hospital right now with broken legs. So, you know, I guess this is as bad as it is. You know, at least it could have been a lot worse.
If the conditions are not good and the athlete tells us, I don't feel comfortable or jumping, that's good enough for us. We'll pull the plug.
All of a sudden, Christina walks into the tent and she's like, hey Jeb, you need to come out here and take a look at this. Walk out of the tent and I look up and I can see blue sky. Well, that's weird. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, but the winds are probably still way too strong. So I call Barry at the landing area and I'm like, so what are the winds doing? He's like, there's no wind. That's not even possible. I mean, how is that even possible? That's not even possible. I had already totally shut my brain down, like as if I'm not doing this, this is done. I had already decided it wasn't happening. And all of a sudden, like it became a really strange, like emotional feeling like, shit, it looks like I have to go for this now. And at that moment, I didn't want to go for it. Like I literally was like, I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this is, I'm just gonna go get hurt right now. I don't know, I just all of a sudden got really super scared. And it was this weird thing, it's like, well, you know, everyone kind of would be okay if I just said no. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just say no. And then I'm like, yeah, I didn't come here to say no. And even though I was really scared, I'm like, all right, let's go.
But we are racing against the time because we have to get on the chopper before 4:30.
My mom started crying and stuff, and I'm just like, hey, you know, don't cry. And it's not helping me, it's not helping you, it's not helping anyone. She's like, I know, I get emotional. I'm just like, I hear you, but, you know, it's not necessary. You know, this is what I came here to do, and this is what I'm doing, so.
I just really hoped that I would still have time to still know him. And it was so strong, like that feeling of just really, that's all I really want.
It was scary, there's no question. It was scary for her, it was scary for me, it was scary for everyone. It was real. That jump was about as super serious as it gets. And we all realized what that thing was. There's not a single person who was on that location who didn't see it for what exactly it was, which was super, super gnarly.
It was like 4:29, not to build a good story, literally 4:29, 1 minute before the official cutoff time. The choppers are getting off.
If Barry at any moment said stop, that means the winds have gotten bad again. So at any moment, as that helicopter's taking off and going to altitude, at any moment I could hear the word stop and it's all done, it's canceled. But as we were getting to altitude, I'm like looking at the mountain and we're flying by, and all of a sudden I kind of start realizing no one's gonna say stop. I started realizing this is gonna happen. I'm jumping out of this helicopter and I'm gonna fly through this thing.
All the wind reports we have say is calm, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm if I'm paying a horrible price for not pulling the plug, but the wind says it's doable.
It definitely had an impact on me mentally, for sure. And that accident in Africa, it brought a new level of fear that I was not used to. And I all of a sudden I got this really powerful sense of just dread, like just fear, just full fear, like total gripping fear of just terror. And I was just so terrified, and I became very emotional. I have not been that scared. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want any part of it. Like that day of just getting beaten down all day long just totally broke me.
He got the significance of what it was and what was happening to such a degree that he was capable of being honest enough to say it.
And all of a sudden I started crying. And I kind of came to a realization. I'm like, I'm gonna land in this helicopter. I'm not doing this. I haven't gotten the proper training. And I came to a realization that if I landed in the helicopter, I was done, that I was never gonna do this again. It was one of those defining moments in your life. I just was like, you know, if I land in this helicopter, I might not die today, but I'm still gonna die. And 20 years from now, when I'm dying, all I'll do is look back and go, man, I will regret this. I'll regret this forever. I could land in the helicopter, but I'm still gonna die. You know, it's still gonna happen. And all that's gonna change is that I'm just not gonna be me anymore. I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna retire from jumping forever. I'm finished. And all of a sudden I decided, you know what? If I'm gonna die right now. I climb out, I get into position, I'm like looking down at my, you know, at my jump, and I'm just like, okay. I stepped out. As I start flying, I see the angle, I see it perfectly, and I'm like, okay, I can hit basically the opening wherever I want to. And then all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, wait a minute, I can fly over it.
And at first, I was like, ooh, I don't need to fly through it. I can actually fly over the top. I'm like, I'll fly over it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, no. You didn't come here to fly over it. Just go for it.
See this fin, I try to turn away from it, and then I just pitch at full speed. And as I pitch, I just saw my cameras go. I literally didn't unzip anything. I just reached straight up, grabbed toggles, turn, and I see my landing area, and I'm just like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Yes! Woo! Holy mother! Oh my God, dude! I made it! I totally did it! Oh my God! I can't believe it! The feeling was really, surprising.
Oh my God. It was so gnarly. It's so thin in there.
The fact that he made it, and the second fact that he actually did not get injured, but was probably a pretty high possibility in that jump. Just a combination of those things that were just, still makes me smile.
The first sound from the walkie-talkie from Hero, and he just said, Frank, canopy open, and the Jeb landed safely. I almost cried.
Thanks, bro.
Words cannot describe my joy and my relief.
30 minutes ago, I was 100% sure that this wasn't gonna happen. I was 100% sure that this was done, I was finished, that this was actually impossible. Like, it had just become impossible for me. And now, here I am, having done it. Like, I did it, and I wasn't hurt. Like, I'm not going to the hospital, I don't have any broken bones, I'm safe, I'm okay, it worked. And I was so happy. I was so excited, I was just so like, I can't believe we pulled it off.
That to me is like, it was a wonderful moment. I mean, to see the happiness of the mayor and of all of the people that were involved. It was not just relief, it was sheer exuberance, exhilaration. It was just euphoria. I mean, literally, I felt like I was floating after it was over. It was an amazing, amazing event.
It was the most technical base jump I've ever done in my life, period. After I jumped it, flew it, landed it, I came to the realization that this is too gnarly. It was spectacular and it was amazing and it was an accomplishment, but I would never do it again.
Once we completed the event, it was such a reminder for never giving up. It's for Jeb, for someone who's been injured and being able to bounce back and coming back again against all the obstacles and going through that emotional roller coaster and being able to succeed in the end, even though we kind of lift our hands and said it's not possible. I think there was many lessons to be learned from me from that trip, but I think that's probably something that I will treasure and learn, like, it's just not to give up. If you never give up, you can never fail.
I need to evolve, I need to grow, and I need to become something new. And I feel that if you are the same person now as you were 10 years ago, then you just wasted 10 years of your life. You know, you need to grow into something different. You need to grow into a bigger, better person. And that really is kind of my purpose now. My purpose is to constantly keep pushing forward, constantly keep getting better. And for me now, it really is about trying to become a better person today than I was yesterday.